What's up, Knights, and welcome to the table. I'm your host, Josh, and I'm joined today by my two partners, EJ and Dieter. How you guys doing?
Go ahead. You have a more interesting stuff to know than me.
We got to get this right off the top of the broadcast because I would be remiss if I did not mention it. If anyone here who is watching does not know, I am located in Central Florida. I very recently relocated to Central Florida, and it has been a stressful couple of days for me. But I have power. I'm here. I'm fine, which is I do want to stress a lot better than can be said for certainly other parts of even Central Florida, not speaking of the absolute devastation that happened in Fort Myers, Cape Coral, all of Southwest Florida. So before we get started with everything that we're going to talk about, I do just want to say from everyone here at Knights of the Nerds table, if you are in Southwest Florida or Central Florida or any hurricane-affected areas, if you know anyone who is in hurricane-affected areas, for whatever it is worth, know that our thoughts, our prayers, any good vibes we can send your way, we are sending them your way. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Let's talk about nerd stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm doing well myself, Josh, and just to piggyback on what Dieter said there, yeah, anyone who's been having a tough time with the hurricane, I mean, I'm a former Florida boy myself. I'm hailing from Tampa, and I've seen a few hurricanes. Was able to, get Dieter on the phone a little bit, tell him about my experiences.
He got me through. Ian. There's no question about that.
But it can be tough, especially if you're in some areas where the houses aren't built as well as they need to be. In some impoverished areas. So I saw a lot of pictures of downtown Orlando. Look pretty messed up. So definitely thoughts and prayers to anyone out there, and our hearts are definitely with you. But we're excited to kind of dig into some of the topics we have today.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also have good friend of the show, the Bear from the Bear in the Beard podcast. What's going on, Bear? Thank you so much for joining us. How you doing?
Yeah, definitely. Any chance I get to talk to you guys. I too live in the South. I live in that landmass between Louisiana and Alabama, known as Mississippi.
Never
heard of it. But so yeah, it's really hard down here when hurricanes come through. So thoughts and prayers from the Bear and the Beard as well. And yeah, great to be on the show again and talking these three awesome topics. I think it's gonna be great.
Love you, man.
Awesome.
Happy you're here.
All right.
Also, I'm gonna just add on to this real quick, because whenever I hear the phrase thoughts and prayers, like my spine starts to tingle. We did not have this prepared, but when we archive this, I will go through and see if I can put something in the comments. If you are able to help with any type of disaster relief,
it's a really good point.
Please do so. If you are able, if you are not able, then the vibes will do just as well. But I will make sure to put that in the comments of this video when it's archived on YouTube.
Yeah, like when we have a little bit of a large of an audience, we could do charity live streams and stuff like that. That would be cool. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
I'll shave my beard for hurricane relief.
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely willing to help out any way we can. If you do happen to see this, as Dieter said, we're definitely going to put some kind of, we'll find whatever organization, whether it be Red Cross or whatever, that would be the best organization. We'll put a link in there. I'm sure you can also Google it and find it. But definitely, if you have the extra means and it's possible, there are a lot of people that need help and need money. That's really the best way you can help, is by sending some extra money if you have some, to really help with the relief efforts. So anyways, on to our first topic. I'm very excited to talk about this. I know you guys all are as well. Hugh is back. Hugh, the most jacked man, is back, baby. I'm excited. I know you guys are excited. There's a lot to really tackle here with this topic with Mr. Hugh Jackman. And I'll just start right off the top and then kick it to you guys. I think there are very few castings that you can compare to the casting of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine when it comes to just a good casting that worked, and an example of where the actor or actress really just took it to the next level and sort of became legendary and like almost mythological. Like it's you can't talk about superheroes and good casting without talking about Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. There's a few others that just really nail it, but it's really hard to say that there's, you know, many that are in the category that Hugh Jackman is. So the fact that he's returning to the role is awesome. There's been a lot of rumors and lots of speculations, and but his good buddy Ryan Reynolds, and I'm sure a decently sized bag of money got him to come back. So what do you guys think? What can we expect from this? What are you excited about? What does this even mean for Deadpool 3?
Well, right off the bat, I kind of want to touch on something that Josh just said, which is how legendary of a casting Hugh Jackman was. And I feel like we've got to acknowledge for a minute how that shouldn't have been. Because
Agreed.
Hugh Jackman is the definition of a casting that on paper is 100% wrong and in practice was 100% right. Wolverine as a character is a stocky, ugly, very, very hairy, far hairier than any of those pictures we just had up on the screen. Very often drawn to be ugly, Canadian with a extremely foul temper. And you bring in Hugh Jackman, who is a beautiful Broadway caliber tenor, just an absolute Adonis of a human being in terms of physical attractiveness, not Canadian, famously, and most importantly, 6 foot 500 inches. The opposite of Wolverine, who like is lucky if he tops out at 5 feet, and yet he was so able to capture the nobility of the character and the rage of the character. Particularly, I think the scene that really solidified it for me is that scene in X-Men 2 during the mansion invasion, where that was the scene that the guy who directed the X-Men movies, whose name I just for some reason can't remember.
Crazy. Is this Riley Sanger?
Notably said, this was where we finally convinced the studio to do Wolverine as Wolverine instead of PG-13 Wolverine. And then you see that and you just know Hugh Jackman, he got it. So I just wanted to acknowledge that really quickly because I think it's worth pointing out anytime we talk about that casting.
Yeah. You also, real quick before we jump to anybody else, you shared something with me before we started streaming that I actually did not know. That was really interesting to me. So if you want to just go ahead and share that again.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind throwing up that picture you just had up on the screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real quick. So what's really interesting is if you look at the bottom row of pictures, you see Hugh Jackman as this like super cut figure, definitely dehydrated. For God's sake, man, eat a carb. But what's interesting is you'll notice on the top left hand, he doesn't look nearly as cut. And this is because when he was cast, he was one of the last actors cast in the original X-Men movie. And his first scene that he shot was this shirtless scene, but he was still cutting weight to get to the superhero weight, which air quotes. And so as a result, that's why the physical definition of his body is so drastically different in that one scene from everything else. Which I think is a really interesting piece of trivia, but also leads to the point of, I don't know that those bottom 3 images are fully necessary.
They are.
Look at that middle image, EJ. That's not healthy. That man is clearly dehydrated. For God's sake, give him a freaking Propel. Like,
you may not like it, but it's how God intended us to be.
Or a delicious spindrift.
Brian, he's chiming in from the Bear and the Beard. It's your co-host, so why don't you go ahead and jump in since your co-host is chatting? Why don't you go ahead and jump in the conversation?
Oh, look, I grew up on the original X-Men movies. I'll still watch them to this day. I still own all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Do they stand up compared to other cinematic universes we have? Not 100% in places, but they are still good movies. But it's mostly story rather than actors, and y'all are right. I mean, Hugh Jackman's just as iconic to the role of Wolverine as Patrick Stewart is to Professor Xavier. He's just as iconic as Robert Downey Jr. is to Iron Man.
Exactly.
Those three actors, and we even did a fan casting not long ago over on our show, where we were trying to cast the future of the MCU, and one of the rules we had to make was you can't cast someone that's already played the role, because all of us knew if Wolverine got recast, we wanted Hugh Jackman back. That was just instantaneous.
Yeah.
So I went off base a little bit. I was like, well, I want Jared Keeso from Letterkenny, who plays Wayne, to be my Wolverine.
Wayne. No, he doesn't play Wayne. He doesn't play Wayne. He plays Wayne.
He plays Wayne. He also plays Shorzy. So
can you imagine Wolverine walking into a bar just going, "How are you now?
How are you now?
How are you now?
Good. Oh, not so bad.
Not so bad.
Pitter patter."
But yeah, no. It's great to see that there's even a chance that he's coming back. I mean, the rumors are flying that this is all one big, mass media, lie that Ryan is putting on to promote Deadpool 3. I don't think they could get Hugh to sign on to something like that because he is so honest. Now, could it also be that the movie only has a 5-minute, cameo of Hugh wearing the outfit? Maybe, but that would only be setting up the next film that I think would have him in it if they went that way. So, what did my co-host say down here at the bottom? Unpopular opinion. Love X-Men Days of Future Past. I think it's the best X-Men movie we've got. Yeah.
I don't think that's
controversial.
though.
It was the best X-Men movie, but it is great.
No,
now, that said, when it comes to X-Men movies, don't trust me because, I straight up liked Dark Phoenix, so I'm not to be trusted.
So that's the conversation I have to have a lot.
They handled the Phoenix Saga better than Last Stand did.
I also liked Last Stand. I am not to be trusted.
The Last Stand is just boring. It's not offensive. It's just boring. That's what it is. It doesn't offend me to my core. It's just there wasn't a lot going on with it. That's what I say with Last Stand.
I need you to understand, I willingly go back by choice and rewatch X-Men Origins Wolverine and have a great time doing it.
There's some good scenes there. There's actually some good scenes. It's not a good movie. Like the collection of scenes together, not good. But there's a couple of good scenes that were shot for that movie.
My only two complaints for X-Men Origins are the way they did Deadpool, which even Ryan Reynolds makes fun of.
They made fun of it in the movie, though, which was so perfect. The fact that they made fun of it. I mean, that he had an action figure of himself is just amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And the second problem I have with X-Men Origins is the fact that they didn't get a real Cajun to play Gambit. That's just... You need that accent. You need an actual Cajun to play Remy. If you're not going to do that, then you're going to lose something, and you lost it a little bit. But like I said, those are my only two complaints.
And guys, I don't know if we realize this, but X-Men came out back in 2000. That was almost 23 years ago now.
Yeah.
So Hugh Jackman has,
and it will be 24 by the time Deadpool 3 comes out.
Yeah. So,
which is crazy.
I think he's actually been doing it longer than any actor of any superhero portrayal, if I'm not mistaken. I think, you would be doing it longer.
Probably,
If it comes out in Deadpool, that would be actually the longest.
What year did Logan come out?
Voice actors, if you don't count voice actors, because if you're counting voice
I'm talking
actors,
live action.
Okay, then because I was going to say Kevin Conroy playing Batman, but that's a voice
Does
actor.
anybody know what year Logan
thing.
came out? I can look it up while you guys chat. But
Logan 2019, I want to say.
2017.
I want to say 2017.
17. Okay.
Yeah.
No.
So even in 2017,
2029,
that might have given him the longest stint if it was 17.
I believe it did. Yeah, because Iron
that's
Man,
17 years. I don't know that anybody else has done it. Iron Man isn't that long.
No.
So people have tracked it out, and basically up until Multiverse of Madness and No Way Home,
Yeah,
Jackman and Stewart had it. and then No Way Home came out, and Toby got it back because all of a sudden he was Spider-Man again, and there was that gap. And then Multiverse of Madness came out, and Patrick Stewart got it back. And now, so they're just passing between the three of them at this point.
Yeah, they'll be coming back soon. The one thing I will say is that Hugh Jackman has always shown through, regardless of the quality of the X-Men films. You know, because as we've said, there's been some tough X-Men films. I recently went and watched all of them. I would say about 2 or 3 months ago, just kind of did a marathon. A lot of good ones. I think Future Past is pretty good, actually. The best of the new generation. I think X-Men, I would say so. I'm saying the new folks. Like, I'm sorry. Nothing else that made was any good. There's X-Men 1 and X-Men 2 that was pretty awesome of the old group. And what it shows is that if you continue to make these movies, it's been up and down. I think that we've known that they're not necessarily the best, but if you continue to make them and stay on the course and don't course correct overkill, you could still make some good movies. Like, we still had good times with these characters, even though some of the adventures were a little uneven.
I mean, the fact that Hugh showed up in First Class in that small little cameo where they approached him to join the team originally. And he's just like, nah, you know.
Best PG-13 F drop in any
Go
movie.
off.
Unquestionable.
Yeah, I do. That was really cool. Like, that they did that the way they did it. That made it like it really drove like the weight home of the fact that it's like you get the one right, and they just used it in the best way. I feel like there's been, I can't think of off the top of my head, there's definitely been a couple movies that have done that, and I'm trying to remember, like, there's another one I feel like somewhat recently that did the same thing where they dropped the one F-bomb and they did it at like the perfect time for it.
Die Hard is the only other movie that comes to mind.
Yeah.
The Yippee-ki-yay MFer. That's your one use of a curse word, because there were plenty of moments in that movie where he should have been cursing.
Could have. So Brian had said earlier, your co-host, he was saying that between X-Men and Spider-Man, those are my earliest memories for superhero movies, and I definitely relate to that. I think I've shared on the channel before when Spider-Man comes up. He's obviously my favorite hero. I mean, you can look behind and see there's more
You're
Spider-Man.
You're a Spider-Man fan? I had no idea.
Right, it's crazy. It's wild stuff. And so it's for me, it's the same thing. And I grew up watching Spider-Man through the 90s cartoon, the movies as they came out in the theater. I had an older brother who would take me to the movie theaters. We would watch them together. And it just such nostalgic, such powerful memories. I definitely touched on that when we were talking about No Way Home, because I know that would have come up, with Toby coming back.
At some point it came up.
Yes.
I actually just watched back through Spider-Man Unlimited on Disney Plus. That was a great nostalgia bomb.
I still say Spectacular Spider-Man is the best one. Spectacular. I know it got cut off a little too soon, but
it is really
Spectacular
good.
is my favorite.
Yeah.
I just knew Josh liked Spider-Man.
Classic.
I know. Talking some wild stuff here on the Knights of the Nerds Table stream. Stay tuned for more breaking news.
So I do want to ask everyone then, when it comes to this casting, because obviously I think it's fair to say we're all excited to see Hugh Jackman back. Like, how could you not be? Right. But when you think about it, and you think about what his last appearance was, and you think about Logan, how do you feel about the fact that he's coming back after what was I at the time heralded as basically the perfect kind of curtain for a character and an actor like that?
Well, you have to do it well, and I think what they're going to go with, they're either going to do one of two things, in my opinion. They're going to have him be a alternate universe version of Wolverine, so he's not the Wolverine that we know. He may have some similar memories, but he may not be the exact Wolverine we know. Or they can grab him in the timeline sometime before he passes and have an adventure that way. That's the only two ways to do it. I don't think bringing him back kind of cheapens everything. I know we love doing that back in this world. The one thing I will say, and maybe none of you guys thought about this, I'm hoping they bring the girl, baby Wolverine, back. She was kind of awesome.
X-23 Laura Kinney? Yes, absolutely.
I would hope Would that be kind of cool? Am I just on a crack here?
That would be amazing. She was terrific in that movie.
Yeah.
EJ, I like what you said there with your theories, and if we think about it, this is kind of just popping into my head now, and it seems kind of dumb that it took me this long to really think of it. But X-Men kind of already did the multiverse thing. They already did the time travel thing and kind of wildness with Days. So they've already done the whole Wolverine thing. Like, oh, Wolverine's this, but hey, look, we could time travel, and now he's this. And obviously, we have time travel and multi-dimensional travel both in Marvel now. So it really, we talked about this amongst ourselves and other friends. What Multiverse of Madness and No Way Home really, really did, and the Loki TV series, is it basically gave, like, it was genius on the side of Marvel, because it gives them like a blank check. Basically, they could do whatever they want. They could bring anybody from anywhere and just slap a multiversal or timeline sort of storyline on it to just make them fit in. And as long as they don't like ruin it or overdo it, I think it'll be really good. What did you say about Daredevil? Are you trying to fight? Are you talking trash about Daredevil? What's going on?
Hold up. No. He was
said
saying
something stupid and your camera went flying.
No.
I was blown away by the awesomeness of the take.
Oh, okay.
The Ben Affleck Daredevil movie is not great. The director's cut is substantially better.
Yes. Always is.
Ben Affleck and Michael Clark Duncan were actually both great.
Yes. Yeah. So I haven't seen that movie in a really, really long time, but the last time I saw it, I thought it was a good movie, but also it was probably at least 10 years ago the last time I saw it. So
yeah, definitely, if you want to go back and watch it, find the director's cut. That's where the money is.
It's better. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The director's cut is always better.
If they're gonna grab it, I want them to do.
He's baiting us.
If they're not gonna do a different multiverse version of Logan, if they have to grab a Logan from the existing X-Men timeline, there's plenty of places they can grab him from. I mean, Days of Future Past Logan and Logan are way past any timeline that Deadpool could even fit into. But see, that's the other thing we're not talking about yet. Where's Deadpool fitting into all of this? If he's coming into the MCU and it's also a sequel to his first two movies. So
that's a good point. We haven't even touched on that yet.
And so then that, I feel like, will explain how Hugh gets in. But
wouldn't that be like some type of multiverse thing then? Because he's not currently in the MCU, because he has to kind of get in somehow.
Right. I think Deadpool's going to somehow get into the MCU. Then Hugh's going to come after him somehow, like trying to.
But the fourth wall breaking too, like, adds a whole other element of where we know, like, I can hear it in my head already that Ryan Reynolds is going to have some line about how, it's just stupid multiversal BS. Check this out, guys. Watch this really funny, scene. Woo, I'm all trippy now. This is warpy. I'm traveling through the dimensions. Like, there's going to be some weird thing where he's like 1,000% just calling out the fact that they're using multiversal nonsense to just make this movie have everybody that we want in it.
Please send Deadpool on the astral projection trip that Doctor Strange had to take in his first movie. I would love that.
I think my favorite was the Paint World. I heard some people like getting mad at the Paint World. Yeah. Like, they were complaining about it. Like, it's stupid. That would never exist. And like, it was so lame. And I'm like, that was so cool, though. What are you talking about?
The Marvel multiverse has at least one, if not more, worlds where all the Marvel characters are sentient animals. Calm down.
Yes, exactly. It's a movie. Chill out. Josh got new hair. Josh did get new hair. Josh is getting new hair again, actually. It's going to change again. So stay tuned. EJ's muted for some reason. I don't know what he's trying to say, but it's not coming through.
I was telling my internet was messing up for a second, but I'm wearing Armed Atlas's merch today, so I wanted to get
Armed Atlas merch. Heck yeah! Thanks, Atlas. We really, really, we can't say this enough. We really appreciate your support. You're always like one of the first people to like, comment, check us out, support us. We really, really appreciate it. So thanks, man. You're the best.
You're our favorite. Well, that got weird. What else are we talking about?
we were all on a roll, but I think to bring it back, we were talking about the Bear specifically. We were kind of chatting about how Deadpool is going to handle joining the new universe and how that's going to work in with Logan / Hugh Jackman. So,
well, the helicarrier was already there in the first movie, which they never called it a shield helicarrier, but it was kind of. And there was also the fact that the agent Bob, I think, was supposed to be Hydra Bob, but they couldn't call him Hydra Bob because of the whole fact that Disney didn't own the rights yet. So now all that stuff kind of makes sense. So Deadpool could actually just be in the MCU, could have been here the whole time, and they could set it up that way if they really wanted to. As far as Logan goes, like I said, there's multiple instances that they could grab him from. Right after the Wolverine would be my pick. He was still, that was pre-Logan, but also pre-Days of Future Past, because that happens way in the future. So he was still the Wolverine. He was Logan, but he went back to help the X-Men at that point. Grab him there. Put him right here. It doesn't cheapen Logan at all, because you'll still watch them in order. And that's if you're saying this is the same guy. If it's not, well, if it is, then this is just one of the many adventures he had before Logan takes place. If it's not the same Logan, but played by the same character, then you're aces in my book. I don't care what you do. Tell me a good story and I'll be happy.
Yeah.
It is also worth noting that Hugh Jackman and the producers and directors of Logan have explicitly said that they did not intend for Logan to be set in the primary, the two primary X-Men timelines. It seems to me that most fans that I've ever interacted with completely disregard that, because if you are watching all the X-Men movies, Logan is a beautiful capstone, and it pairs honestly weirdly nicely with New Mutants, which is a movie that has a lot of good parts and a lot of bad parts. But the stuff happening there and the stuff happening in New Mutants pairs really, really well together as being in possibly the same universe. I have some technical issues. I am going to jump out and I'll be right back, guys.
One thing that Brian just said, actually, I don't know if you can see that comment, Josh, but he says that they're a wrench in the speculation. What about the article in She-Hulk where a man with metal claws was fighting in some bar? That's true. That happened in a recent She-Hulk episode where they mentioned that some man...
I haven't seen it. La 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 la.
Yeah, sorry about that. Spoilers. That was like 2 episodes ago, but still, like, so that's a hint that this character might already be there in some shape or form, or maybe it's showing that he was there. He was brought in from another universe. Who knows? But I definitely think that was some type of Easter egg towards Wolverine anyway.
Yeah, so I think at the end of the day, what's going on is anybody who might be like upset or say like, oh, we can't do this because Logan was so good, it was such a good capstone. Like, I think the majority of fans were just pumped that he was back. Like, we'll get over it. Logan was excellent. I love Logan. EJ, we've talked about this. It's one of the takes you and I agree on, that Logan is one of the best ones out there, period, when it comes to superhero movies. It's an excellent film. But I think Hugh coming back doesn't take away from it, because it's one of those things where it's like that's like saying, like, if Kevin Conroy were to like retire and be like, yeah, I'm done doing Batman, and then he like came back 5 years later, who's gonna be mad about that? Nobody. Everybody's gonna be like, no, heck yeah. And that's the way I feel about it, is that it's like he can come back whenever he wants. Nobody's gonna care.
And when Kevin Conroy's involved, I hope that we just run him down until he's literally in his hundreds, and then even after he passes, we're able to use a computer modulator that grabs his vocal.
We'll have a device that he'll like speak into, and it'll just create, like
everything. They did with James Earl Jones.
Exactly, that's what I'm hoping.
Well, they could definitely, like, he's played Batman in so many different things. They could just splice, cut, and edit from all the different things he's done. and just it might sound a little funny, but they can make it work. So
I do feel like I have to point out the fact that Kevin Conroy's Batman has never died without being resurrected. So it wouldn't be quite the same because every instance he's ever played Batman, it's been animated.
Well,
and even if he did
multiple
die,
different versions.
he came back.
Let's ask this question then. If RDJ comes back to play Iron Man in any capacity, well, he already is coming back to voice him in What If, but that's different because What If is, it's its own kind of thing. If he comes back, what is that? How do you guys feel about that?
As a physical human person,
yes,
I'd have a problem with it unless he's a variant. Personally, because Iron Man
flashbacks maybe.
If it was flashbacks, yes. If it's a variant of him from a different multiverse, yes. But if you say that our Iron Man never died, the only reason I'd have a problem with that is because most of the movies following Endgame were established on that point that he made the sacrifice play and saved the world. Yeah. So from a storytelling point of view, that wouldn't make sense to have that character resurrect and come back. Now,
right, but I think
version, something like that. The AI that's supposed to help Ironheart. Oh,
yeah, like there's a lot of rumors about that, right? And I think that's all good. I think everybody's down for that. And I think it's the same thing with Wolverine, where it's like, as long as we're not bringing like Logan back, if it's an older version of him or a different timeline or different, universe or whatever. And I think that's really it's the same thing with when someone does so well, we're just happy to have them back because they're so iconic. As long as you don't deter or take away from what was already done, then I think it plays. I mean, I don't know how Dieter, EJ, if you guys have an opinion on it, but
I'll say this much, because one thing I would think of in the DC universe that is similar to that is that when we were originally talking about building out the DCEU, it was highly encouraged that Christian Bale come back and be the Batman of the DCEU. Now, he didn't necessarily die, but it was highly hinted that he had retired. He had put Batman away, right? I think at the time, believe it or not, I was really for Christian Bale coming back. But part of me realizes now that if he had, it would have cheapened the end of The Dark Knight Rises. That's the one thing it had going for it. After all these years after the hype, that it had a kind of definitive end for the Batman character. So I don't know. It depends on each character, how I would feel about it. And it has to be done right? Like, I think I would be open to having Chris Evans come back in some capacity in Captain America before I would see RDJ, because I think Chris Evans could maybe be, I don't know. I want to know what he was doing the whole time hanging out with Peggy like that. He did just sit around all the time, did he? Like, something happened. I mean, he's Captain America. Like, something happened.
Yeah. So right. So what you're saying is, like, if they went back in time and maybe he wasn't Captain America, but he was like a SHIELD agent that kind of just went on some missions or something, or did
Nomad, the captain. Stuff. There's a history of him doing other things. You could also do like a in Quantum Mania. You could do a flashback to when Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne were active. He would have been a little older, but he would have been around that time. Yeah. And you could slot him into that kind of role.
That would actually be easier than RDJ, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no, but also there is all the fan theories that he's not done as well, because they literally took a fan theory and brought it to the show with Falcon and Winter Soldier, with he's on the moon, he's on a base on the moon with Nick Fury, and I still think there might be something that comes of that, because obviously he's not dead, or at least not that we know of,
not that we've had confirmation of.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
We're talking about my favorite superhero, so I don't want him to be dead.
Right. No, of course not. You never want your heroes to die, right?
I do think that you run the risk with Chris Evans in particular, and possibly RDJ as well, of in the movies, if you bring them back, you run the risk of stepping on the character development that already exists in the movies, because we just had a whole season of television setting up why Anthony Mackie and Sam Wilson is now Captain America, and we are in theory about to get a show in a couple of years where it's going to explain to us why Riri Williams is Ironheart. And I don't want to trample on the good work that those actors are doing just for a nostalgia pop. So bringing them back in the present, I would be very, very leery of.
Yeah, I guess really the conversation, the reason why I wanted to pose the question was because I don't mean like, within the next year or two, because I guess it hasn't been all that long when you think about it, because if Logan was 17 and then now, so it's been, by the time it comes out, it'll have been 6 years. Yeah. So how long has it been since Endgame?
Endgame was 2019.
Yep.
19. Right. So I guess theoretically, to follow in the same timeline and just to use it as the example, it would be another like a couple years after, right? So we're talking like 2, 3, 4 years down the road, RDJ like popping back in for something. I tend to think that I would be cool with it, just again depending on how they did it.
Just gotta give it some time.
Yeah, how they take away from it. But I think they did end it in a really good way.
What you've already told, and you'll do just fine. I mean, Feige hasn't really let it as far, like there have been some not so great in the MCU over the years that we've had them, but the overall story has not disappointed yet. It all clicks continuatively. It all flows. There's these things that make this go this way, this go that way. The shows, the movies, they all intertwine almost perfectly. So as long as you keep that up, it really doesn't matter what you do, as long as you as long as you tell a good story and don't step on what you've already done. Don't Michael Bay it. Don't Michael Bay it. When you get to like the 4th Transformers movie, you're like, oh wait, oh that's right. Megatron was Galvatron last movie. What are we gonna do? Let's pretend that didn't happen. Let's just pretend that happened. That didn't happen. Mark Wahlberg's
I am all of a sudden remembering that I have seen all the first 3 Transformers movies, and I don't remember a single thing about them.
That happens sometimes.
No, because like Transformers is like the epitome of just all flash, no substance. Like Michael Bay is the director that people accuse Zack Snyder of being. Like Michael Bay is just pure that, which I like that. Like, see, the first 2 Transformer movies were kind of fun, but the third one kind of went off the rails. And like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember the plot at all. I think I remember a couple of scenes with Megan Fox. That's about it.
I fell asleep.
Actually,
in
the third one didn't have her in it. So no, you didn't.
Yeah, Megan Fox was not in the third one.
Maybe that's why the third one wasn't good.
But by the time he got to the 5th one, he was pretending the 4th one didn't happen, even though he was trying to connect the story to the 4th one.
Yeah.
And that reboot of a movie, Bumblebee, was probably the best thing that ever came out of the Transformers.
Bumblebee was actually pretty okay. The Mark Wahlberg led ones were just weird. I didn't care for those.
Yeah.
We are so far off the reservation at this
point. We are.
I want to address something that just showed up on our screen, which is Beard just mentioned remembering that Megan Fox had no personality in the second one. And you know what? By all accounts, that was not her fault. Apparently, there's a reason she wasn't in the third movie, and it has so much to do with how her character was portrayed and the fact that she was quite literally there just to stand over the hood of a Camaro and go, ooh.
Megan
Fox. Hold on, do that again one more time.
Yeah.
Give the people what they want, Dieter.
But she did that part well. So
yes, but like she's also a really good actress.
Yeah, I feel like Megan Fox suffered the same as Natalie Portman did in Thor: The Dark World. And a second Thor movie was supposed to be written this way. It didn't happen. Her character didn't actually get the story arc that the actress wanted. So she did the part and then walked away from the project after that. That's the same thing Natalie Portman did for Thor: The Dark World.
But hey, I mean, both of them had their return in a little bit. Like Megan Fox did team up with Michael Bay for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So they repaired it somehow.
She was April O'Neil. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I remember is I think Stephen Amell was in one of those movies.
He was. He's in the second one.
Casey. Yeah.
All right.
So all right. Well, you're absolutely right, dude. We're talking about the Transformers. I don't know what the odds are on that, but if you had told me like we're gonna do a stream and we're gonna talk about Hugh Jackman and we're gonna end up at Transformers, I wouldn't have believed you. But here we are. So
you're supposed to be steering this ship, Josh.
I was.
This is your fault.
I was steering this. I was steering this. But
steered us into some rough waters there, Captain.
Well, the problem is everybody has a steering wheel, so it could be tough to steer. It's like those driver's ed cars where it's like everybody's got their own gas pedal and brake pedal in the passenger seat, so it could be tough. But let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. This one's going to be a little bit shorter because, as we discussed before, we're going to talk about The Last of Us, specifically the HBO series that's coming out now. Being totally transparent, I know that I myself I'm not super familiar. I've gotten a little bit more familiar with it over the last little bit. I know, excuse me, Bear, I know that you're actually playing through the game, and I played through the game a little bit, but it was quite a while ago. And I know you guys had said, Dieter and EJ, that you're not super familiar with it, but I still just wanted to talk about it because I think that anytime you take a video game and you turn it into a movie, that's really cool. Yeah. I don't think it's been done very well very many times. I think there are a lot of flops. The Assassin's Creed movie is the first one that comes to mind. What's that?
Sonic the Hedgehog was like a word.
Yeah, I didn't say that it's never happened. I specifically said that it hasn't happened often.
And see, I'm one of those people that liked the Doom movie with Dwayne The Rock Johnson in it, but that's
I didn't see that. But the movie
so it's okay.
The movie that came to mind for me was the Assassin's Creed movie, which was awful. Those games are amazing. They're great games. There's like some that are better than others, of course, but it's such a really, really popular, well-known franchise, and the movie was just terrible. Good. We don't need to spend too much time on it. It's really just go watch it if you haven't seen it, just so that you can throw up in your mouth like I did. And moving on to The Last of Us, though, the game is known for its story, its storytelling, and the whole are you guys like zombie people? The whole zombie phenomenon, is that something that really. You guys are into? Me neither, and that's kind of like, I guess what makes it hard to draw me in, but still the story was incredible. Robert, you've been playing through the game recently. Speak to what you think about the game and what it really is, and let's go ahead.
So so when we talk about zombies, obviously it's always like Left 4 Dead kind of. It's these masses of zombies always coming after people and stuff like that. This story, it has that. Don't get me wrong. It has the zombies. It has the things you have to be scared of going into the dark places. But what it really more is to me, from what I've played of it, and I'm still playing through the first one, but it's more of the human story of what's going to happen when the zombie apocalypse comes. And then a couple of years later, everyone's still trying to rebuild, but you can't put it all the way back because you can't kill all the zombies. So it's more of the story, and there's even a mode on there. I feel like if you put it on the easiest of modes, it's essentially a cinematic that you just walk through. So I'm playing 2 steps above that because I like a little bit of a challenge, and I think that's why this is going to succeed as a show, movie, whatever they decide to do with it, because it's already written to be a cinematic experience. It's not all blood and gore like most zombie movies are. It's more of the story between the two main characters and how they're trying to get through the world. Most of the time in the game, when you come across someone that you have to shoot or try to, take down or get by, or, because you have your stealth options, you have your aggressive options. It's people, it's other people. It's very rarely zombies. But they also do have their zombies in there because it's a zombie game.
Yeah.
But the zombies were the reason, not the plot, I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah.
They were a story element, not the plot of the story. The plot of the story is surviving in a world that has zombies and is destroyed by them.
Yeah. And go ahead, Dieter.
Real quick, I just want to tally this. So Josh and Bear, you have played but not finished Last of Us. EJ, have you played, finished? Where are you at with Last of Us?
I was at watching the videos that Josh told me to watch before.
Right.
Watch it. That's exactly where I was.
Or you're saying you're at the point where you were going to watch them and then didn't.
I was at the point where I watched the first one.
Oh, okay. The minute and 36-second video I sent you? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Exactly. You're welcome.
So in that case, that puts me, I think, as the Last of Us expert here. Because I finished the first Last of Us game. I played it all the way through in college.
Okay.
And I will say, as someone who did play the original all the way through, so much of what the Bear is saying is true and should be exceptionally helpful for it's on HBO, I believe, for them to adapt. Because the biggest problem with adapting games,
is that Pedro Pascal?
Games, Pedro Pascal.
Oh my god, I didn't know that.
Yeah. He's been pushing to everything, man. He's everywhere.
Y'all's go to learn stuff. That's
yeah.
But yeah, so much of the trouble with adapting narratives is adapting video game narratives is the fact that so much of what's in a video game is either player controlled or extremely repetitive or both. For example, I can't imagine you would ever be able to successfully adapt a series like Dragon Age or Mass Effect,
or Skyrim,
or at least not the stories that are in the video games, because everyone has their own version of those events.
Yep.
Alternatively, with games like, say, for example, Dead Island, or it's a Capcom game. Any of those numerous zombie shooters, where it's just nonstop killing. And Last of Us has the advantage of being such an adult story. And I don't mean adult in just the fact that it's horribly violent, but in the fact that it is really a truly emotionally honest story about a man and his surrogate daughter. It has a lot in common, honestly, with a lot of Wolverine stories. Like Wolverine and Kitty Pryde, Wolverine and Jubilee. And
Wolverine
HBO is doing themselves
in that first movie.
Yes, also that. HBO is doing themselves a favor with that I think no one else has ever really done. It's also worth noting that when it comes to narratives in video games, Last of Us is one of the best. It was revolutionary at the time, and it does, to my knowledge, still hold up.
It does.
Both of them won Game of the Year. Both Last of Us 1 and Last of Us Part 2 both won Game of the Year. They've been digitally remastered. I have both of them on my PlayStation.
Oh, yeah.
Last of Us Part 1 they picked this
remastered
to and the other really encouraging part of this is that the writers of the game who wrote this great story are a part of the process of producing this show, and also the same music is going to be the same person. I can't think of the word right now.
Composer.
Thank you. That is the word I wanted. The composer. Thank you. Yes, it's the same composer as well, which I think that adds so much, because I mean, all of us here can agree that the score of a movie is can make or break it. It can make a not so great movie all right, and vice versa. So it's really good that they have the original people, because I think a lot of times what happens with adaptations is when you get away from the original minds that were involved with creating something so iconic and so well loved, that's when you kind of start to get away from the genesis, and you start to get away from the blueprint of what really made the thing what it was. So the fact that they have some of the OGs involved is really, really cool. And I'm curious to see, and I'm definitely going to finish. I'll probably just start it over and play Last of Us because it's free for me now. and I'd love to try it out. So, yeah,
a good
that's right.
example of what you were saying, like when you don't have the original creators on board, was that horrible movie that M. Night Shyamalan did for Nickelodeon that I don't like to name, but it had
you mean the one?
in it.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it was based off that really famous cartoon, but they took everything out of it that made it enjoyable, like the fact that one of the characters was actually the comic relief and all that. They tried to make it a serious thing. Now, don't get me wrong, M. Night Shyamalan's a great director, but he should have, I think, asked for some opinions on that film.
I think what would have helped him is that if he, watched the original at all, I think that would have been a great start.
That's so true.
My kids watch it. I can make this.
Can I tell y'all a really quick story about this movie that didn't happen? When this movie that didn't happen came out, that same year, I asked my parents for the DVD sets for the show upon which it was based for Christmas.
Lord help you.
And my parents got me the movie by M. Night Shyamalan, and I knew what they had done wrong, but I wanted them to know. So as soon as we got it that night, like Christmas night, I was like, hey, thanks for this movie. Let's watch it together. After the movie, I swear to God, this is 100% true. My mother turned to me and said, I'm so sorry.
Let's go ahead and take this back.
Amazing.
As you should be.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. But yeah, I'm very excited for the Last of Us, and I think what this means is EJ and I both need to play the game now. And Bear, you got to finish playing it.
I gotta finish at least the first one.
I'm gonna warn you. Make sure your head's on right and your mental health is good before you play it.
It's pretty.
There's a reason I haven't played Last of Us Part 2.
I do remember that it was pretty tough. I do remember that.
It is rough going.
But yeah, so I do want to take a minute here, throw this comment up. Not that one. Sorry. Go back here. So Atlas is congratulating us on our She-Hulk Before You Watch video going crazy. Yes, thank you. We're very, very happy about that video.
Views.
98K views, super duper cool. Thank you guys so much, all of our supporters, everybody who watched it, even the people that left mean and nasty and stupid comments. Thank you guys so much for watching and commenting on our video and pushing it up the algorithm. And for those of you who haven't seen it, go check it out. It's great. We're going to keep doing more Watch This Before videos. We're super excited. We're trying real hard to push and get to our 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year.
There you go.
It's up to you guys. So if you could definitely help us get there. Thank you guys so much. We do really appreciate all that you do.
If we hit 1,000?
No.
I mean, no, but I did think if
this channel ever hits 1 million, I'll shave my head.
Okay, so we EJ and I've had
my head.
This is being recorded. Oh no.
You heard it here first, folks. 1 million and he shaves his head. EJ and I've had some talks behind the scenes.
There are some people who now have a vested interest in getting us to 1 million, let me tell you. And there's also some people, some of whom are in another room of this house, who have a very vested interest in making sure that this channel fails.
I actually need to watch that video because I haven't watched She-Hulk yet. I'm holding off to binge watch all of it before we do our episode. And I was told by both of my co-hosts, you got to watch their video. You can even watch it now and before you watch She-Hulk. And I'm like, I'm going to wait till the day before I watch She-Hulk to watch their video because I know they did a good job. Because the Eternals one, we quoted y'all's Before You Watch Eternals one in our Eternals episode. Y'all do such a good job making those, and I really
thank you. Thank you. We really appreciate it. We enjoy it. It's the one thing so far that we've found that's really been working for us consistently, and we're gonna keep it going. But we have a lot of other things that we want to try. So thank you guys. We did actually talk behind the scenes. I'll let you in now that we're live, Dieter. EJ and I have had some talks. We do want to do some kind of subathon thing. So we're going to do some kind of long form stream where we're online and we're streaming way longer than what is comfortable, but it'll be worth it because we're going to get a bunch of subs. We're going to play some games, do some fun stuff, throw out some challenges.
Just take a weekend.
So that's in the works. So
this is happening after Christmas, right, y'all? Like,
it's in the works. It's in the works.
I'm down to get in on a leg of that if y'all want.
We'll figure out a way to split it up that's coming down the pipeline. So let's go ahead and move on to our. You have something to say?
Josh,
go ahead.
Real quick, because the Bears being too nice, and I get uncomfortable when people are nice to me. So I want to return the favor and just mention that, well, the Bear has not seen She-Hulk, and they have not done a full She-Hulk retrospective episode yet. That channel is doing currently a weekly after show, basically, where every Friday evening,
hella fun.
The co-hosts Nerd Squatch and the Beard go and talk about the most recent episodes of She-Hulk. I was lucky enough to be on the second one, and hopefully might be appearing in one of the other ones, scheduled depending. But if you do want to hang out and chat with some people about what you're seeing on Disney Plus every week, head over there and chat with them, because you'll have a good time. I promise.
Absolutely.
Go watch the Go Green Show. I haven't been able to watch it yet.
Check out the Bear and the Beard podcast, guys. They're great over there. We love these guys. They've become good friends of ours as we do the YouTube and entertainment stuff in general. They're really great guys.
It's
we
all
appreciate having them around. And we're definitely
family.
We'll definitely be posting their information in the comments below this video. So our next
That's how it feels, Bear. That's how it feels to be supported.
Actually,
no.
I really wanted y'all on our episode that comes out next week. EJ stopped in on the comments because we recorded it live, but it was the adult animation where we talked like Rick and Morty, Little Demons, like that.
Oh, I saw y'all were doing that. I was like, I have nothing to add to this conversation.
Yeah, I actually would have, but during that time, I was just not feeling well. I came down with some sickness or whatever, so I was just kind of out of it, unfortunately. But I was willing to.
EJ's got the classic excuse, I would have, but I just didn't want to.
No, Josh, if I'm the kind of guy that if I didn't want to do it, I would actually just say I didn't want to do it.
Yeah, no, you would. And also, you love to hear yourself talk and see yourself on camera. So any opportunity you get, if you're healthy and able.
Yeah, but I was not healthy and able that day.
So we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic, which is Black Adam. And we definitely need to first and foremost kick it to EJ right off the bat. We have a watch this before you watch Black Adam video live on our channel. Feel free to go check that out. EJ, you did a great job on that video.
Thank you.
Thank you to EJ for doing that one for me, because I had COVID.
Yeah, we plan our videos out and we've been shuffling responsibilities around a little bit, but we're getting it done. EJ, tell us about Black Adam. Why are you so excited about this? Why should we all be so excited about it? Can they fix the DCEU with this movie? Can The Rock charm us back to life here?
Tell us.
I have a lot going on with that, but first of all, I can't do the eyebrow thing, but hopefully we can all smell what The Rock is cooking, okay? There you go, Dina. That's exactly what I wanted from that comment. So,
tell us what you think about Black Adam.
So,
it doesn't matter what you think about Black Adam.
Let's go, Dieter. Love it. Let's go. This is why you're my guy. That's why you're my guy. Yeah, I mean, first of all, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is the biggest actor of our era, right? We had the early 2000s, late 2010s, where it was all Will Smith everywhere. We're at the point where we're almost at peak Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson saturation at this point in our media. It's true. So he was announced as Black Adam back in 2014. Can you believe that, guys? This movie is a long time coming. It's been backed up, delayed. Yeah. He has. No, and he's tried to fight with them because the executives over at Warner Brothers kept on pushing it back. They also at one point wanted Black Adam to show up in Shazam instead. But the big thing with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is that he wanted Black Adam to have his solo outing first, because he felt they would be doing the character a disservice rather to have him show up as a side character in another movie. So I'm really excited about this, because I think this is a perfect casting. I think The Rock really does kind of take on the aura that is Black Adam. The one thing that even one of my commenters mentioned is that technically Black Adam is more of an anti-villain rather than an anti-hero. But because I think he's played by The Rock, that he's going to be, this movie is going to really be leaning into that. There's a hint that, you know, Black Adam was from the old days. He's kind of going to be frozen and brought back in time. We have the JSA coming out, the Justice Society of America. So I'm excited about that. Hawkman, Dr. Fate looks great. I made a mistake by pronouncing Pierce Brosnan. I said Brosnan on the video.
You know what's so funny? That doesn't shock Dieter or me at all.
No. That's okay.
He's going from 007 to the mystical master of the DC universe.
Right?
I love it.
But thank you so
sense.
much to that commenter who pointed out your incorrect pronunciation. We appreciate the support and you pushing the video up the algorithm. Continue to do so.
He helped.
Right, carry on.
He helped.
And real quick, just before we move on, EJ, what's the name of the guy who directed Thor: Love and Thunder?
You mean the director that doesn't matter? Oh, yeah. Taika Waititi, whatever that guy is. Yeah. It's not even worth saying his name. Like, he's not even a good director. So, like, who cares?
Free Guy was amazing.
Okay. That was a decent movie. But everything else was trash. So, but is this movie going to fix the DCEU? Probably not, right? Like, it's not going to fully fix everything. Now, I think
what can it do though? What can it do to like set that?
It can give us some hope. It can give us some hope.
Good.
Yeah, that's it. It could be not terrible because I think this movie does need to be better than average. Because if it's another just flash in the pan like the Suicide Squad was, that's kind of the last DCU movie we had. It didn't have any standing power. That's the thing. The Suicide Squad, it had good ratings, but didn't have any standing power. Like, it didn't improve the brand of DC. It didn't. Right? Like, we didn't talk about DC any differently afterwards.
So
it had to have a show come out after it to give it standing power, which was
exactly.
That's what so we're going to be coming up on our channel. Actually, very soon we have a video coming out talking about the movies and kind of our rankings over at the Knights and what we think of the different movies in the DCEU. And we're very excited for Black Adam, but we all had Shazam pretty high up on our list. It's number one on my list. Spoiler alert. I love the Shazam movie. I love Zach Levi. I love Chuck. That's a different story for a different day. The ending sucked though, but again, different story, different day. So
Chuck video coming sometime in 2023.
Right. So I think they did such a great job with that movie. And what I really want to see with Black Adam, right? Black Adam and Shazam are like, you can't have one without the other, really, you know? So they need to find a way to merge the two. How are they going to do that? How are they going to bring them together? How are we going to see The Rock and Zach Levi on screen together? And then the battles, like, are they going to fight each other? Superman, that's the other thing that we talked about. EJ.
That's the one he's been teasing, of course. Because, I've been looking forward to it since he put the
Instagram battle Superman and don't show us just the S and be like, hey, check this out, pretty cool. No, show us the actual person. If you're not going to use Henry Cavill anymore, whatever, that's a dumb choice, a bad choice, a wrong choice, but use somebody else. That's fine. I love Henry Cavill.
Dieter's a Henry Cavill hater, so
we can argue about it.
I think the Bear may not be a big
Henry Cavill seems like a great dude. By all accounts, just a truly lovely, humble, charming, wonderful.
All right, that's enough talking, Dieter. That's enough.
You
can stop it right there. You can stop it right there. That's all you need to say.
I hate Superman. I hate it.
I remember we were talking the other day in our Geeks of the Roundtable chat, which y'all are all in. And I remember someone brought up Man of Steel. I was like, Man of Steel is my favorite Zack Snyder DCEU film. So
didn't I angry react to that?
It's my favorite Superman movie that is made by Zack Snyder that happens in the DCEU. So I mean, that's all I can really say about Henry Cavill.
It's disgusting.
It has something. All right, there's something to be said that I'm more excited, me personally, to see Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. And
the character Dr. Fate in general is such a cool character.
Yeah,
and
that's
the actor playing Hawkman. What's his name?
I'm so glad you brought up.
Yes,
that is Aldous Hodge, one of the best actors that you've never heard of. And if
I've heard of him, he was in Leverage.
Watch Leverage.
Yeah,
yes.
what was his name?
Hardison.
Hardison. He played Hardison in Leverage, and that show actually got renewed on some other weird streaming service for like
IMDb TV. You can watch it through Amazon Prime.
I'm way more excited for those two characters than I am, mostly because I know The Rock's gonna rock it. Yeah, you know, if I can be funny a little bit, he's gonna do a good job. This character's not that hard for him personally. Like all I'm seeing when I see the trailers is this is his character from The Rundown with superpowers.
Yeah,
he's the bad guy for a good reason, kind of thing, and that's going to be The Rock. He's going to do it. He's going to knock it out of the park. Will this fix the DCEU? No, but that's because, as we said, I think we were doing when we were doing the Suicide Squad episode. It's going to take time, but they're moving that direction. They're moving that way toward fixing things. And when I say moving that direction, one of our favorite things over at the Bear and the Beard about the Suicide Squad was you decided to tell a story in the DCEU that didn't connect. Set this up, that this is happening in the same unit. Shazam did the same thing. Shazam didn't count on Superman being real, didn't count on Batman being real, but through enough of the little Easter eggs, the actual Batarang, saying that this is happening right here. We're telling you a story in the DCEU. We're going to connect it because that's how the MCU started.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
The DCEU jumped into it way too early.
Yeah,
and tried to rush it. Now they're kind of coming back a little bit on the throttle, and I think it's going to work.
That's an interesting question.
We have a question for EJ. What would you think of The Rock as Lex Luthor instead of Black Adam? So earlier, the Beard posted a question or a statement really, where he said that he saw a video that was saying that The Rock was wasted because he could have played Lex Luthor, and I guess this video must have been very convincing. So what are your thoughts on The Rock as Lex? My first thought that comes to mind is no, but I'll let you take it from there.
I'm also, but I have more reasons, but I'll let EJ go first as well.
Okay, I'm conflicted. So part of me can see a really interesting one, because especially when I think of Lex Luthor.
No, hold on real quick. Set aside your emotions and feelings and deep love and attraction to The Rock. Just set the emotion and just the passion. Set that aside and just objectively tell us.
I want to point out.
Well, first of all, that's not possible.
If anyone had to guess which of us was the huge diehard pro wrestling fan in this chat, they would now be thinking EJ. I'm the one with the huge.
No. It's not the wrestling. It's just EJ just likes him for his body.
It's just the way. It's just the way.
So first of all, Josh, that's not possible. Second of all, I don't know. So if I'm thinking about Lex Luthor, when you're talking about like the Justice League Unlimited cartoon, especially when it goes to the end where he's actually kind of physically imposing because he's melding. I forget the villain's name right off the metal.
Metallo?
I can't believe it. Not Metallo. Oh crap! I'll come to it later.
I'm actually blanking on it as well.
Yeah, no, the robot that's in space and basically can control everything.
Brainiac?
Yes. He's molding Brainiac at one point.
Yeah.
So I think that could be interesting. I don't know. I think he fits Black Adam better because, I don't think you can look at that guy and not think he has superpowers. Like, he can't just be a regular
he's just
mortal man.
A super jacked Lex is kind of a weird look.
Also
it's a
don't
improvement
know
over
how
Jesse
I feel
Eisenberg, but
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that, but I will say that anytime I've had a conversation with Brian about this, he tells me, and I still haven't seen the film, so I guess I would need to go watch it. He says, think about Dwayne's performance in Red Notice, and then think, could he do Lex Luthor? Now, I haven't seen the film. I know that Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot are in it, I think.
it's a good film.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know what that means for the argument, but I just wanted to throw that out there, that I think is a lot of where this is coming from, is he's been the guy in the suit, the villain, the mastermind before, and he could do it again.
There needs to
Beard,
be-
sound off in the chat if Red Notice is worth watching overall.
So first of all, it is. And Red Notice is a very good film. I was surprised by
Okay.
it.
First of all, it is.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's cinema. I think that's what Martin Scorsese said.
I mean, I love heist movies, so I'm kind of into it.
No, it's really actually solid. What I would say is that whoever plays Lex, and Jesse Eisenberg didn't hit it exactly. I know they're going for a Mark Zuckerberg like reincarnation of Lex in our time. I'm of the agreement, even though I love BVS. I'm gonna go ahead and say Jesse Eisenberg wasn't the ideal Lex. I'll even go as, even though I love BVS, right?
He looks surprisingly good bald, though.
He does. He does.
It's weird. Like, I'm used to seeing him with all the hair, and then
No, I mean, it was based on another comic of Lex Luthor, kind of his origin story. But what I'll say is that whoever plays Lex does need to have an unhinged quality about him. And I don't see The Rock as unhinged. Does that make sense? Like, not necessarily whimsical and wacky, kind of like how Jesse Eisenberg's one. I mean, like, just pure, brutal,
kind of crazy
rage. Exactly. Yeah. There has to be some type of
it's like reserved and controlled to a certain extent, but there's like
and then it
moments
just lets out.
Where it kind of comes out and you're like,
I see
that's
Dwayne,
a super villain.
Yeah, I see Dwayne more as the Wilson Fisk level of unhinged than I do the Lex Luthor level of unhinged.
Exactly.
You piss me off, I'm going to use my brutality on you, but I'm going to try to keep all of that bottled up unless it's necessary, just so that I can be imposing.
Have you guys seen Smallville? Is either Smallville viewers here? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Oh, yes, I have. And that Lex Luthor is actually the voice of the Flash in the Justice
Michael
League
Rosenbaum. Do you guys did you like him as?
Yes.
I think he was awesome. Honestly,
I thought he was tremendous.
He popped in my mind because I heard him on a podcast the other day. He actually has his own podcast, but he was on somebody else's, and I heard him on, and it brought back the memories of the show for me. And I think that he did an excellent job of doing exactly what EJ was just talking about, where he's, super smart, super well together. And he has these scenes where he's like, oh, this is just like a really smart, like well together guy. But then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, he's kind of unhinged. He's kind of crazy. And it like comes out every now and then. And I think that Rosenbaum did a really, really good job with that.
I would also mention Supergirl's John Cryer. Which when I saw that, I was like, the 2.5 Men guy's gonna play Lex Luthor. Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he was really good. Like, really,
especially in the crossover events.
Menacing and unhinged.
Yeah.
In the crossover events, he was amazing.
He was dastardly. He was good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say, so they recently had a Justice League movie in the what's the DC anime universe, the kind of new one that's based off the New 52. You know what I'm talking about, Dieter?
I do. It doesn't have a nice, good, easy name. It's the DC animated movie universe.
Something weird.
Yes,
like that.
I know.
But the Lex Luthor was then played by Rand Wilson. So basically Dwight Schrute, and he actually gave a Jesse Eisenberg.
It was good.
Performance.
I liked it, honestly. I thought it was good.
He was also a professor in the Transformers movies.
Yeah, he was.
And we're back to Transformers. It's like what's the rule where it's like any conversation you have ever, it's like the rule of
13 degrees of whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, if you talk long enough, eventually someone will bring up Hitler.
Yeah.
Godwin's law?
It's a different law. It's some kind of thing I learned about, and it's like interesting because like you talk long enough, and then like you eventually are going to end up talking about like good and evil. And
I'm sorry, how many laws about social interaction end up involve people bringing up Hitler? Because there's Godwin's law, which is
one
about
that I know.
People making comparisons. Anyway,
it's called 4chan's law. At any rate.
We're back to Transformers.
I will say, getting on to Black Adam, but I'm really excited about this film. I didn't really hear anything from the Bear or Dieter real quick. I just wanted to know how you guys are feeling about the film and what are your hopes and dreams for it. Yeah?
The only thing I've seen so far that I didn't like was the still shot that they took of, and they asked a very good question. why does Dr. Fate have a heads-up display in his helmet?
Yeah.
And,
And
where's Naboo? Why is he able to take the helmet off willingly? And now I didn't dive deep into that rabbit hole when I saw it, but I know that there are storylines where Naboo and Kent, they work well together.
They do, they have in the past had a working relationship.
So that, to me, for someone to make that comment, it's like, oh, so you've only seen Young Justice.
Yep.
No, that's okay, but don't think that that's the norm. Young Justice was fantastic, by the way. The Lex Luthor in that was very good as well.
I think people just don't want it to be like it's an Iron Man, but gold. Like they don't want it to be technological, or even if it's like, this is magic, but it looks, walks, talks.
It's more like Doctor Strange with an Iron Man suit.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah,
is the way they were saying
it's much more mystical.
Yeah, and
Sorry, what I wanted to ask you guys, actually, because we mentioned this earlier, because you said the Suicide Squad, the one thing you liked about was that it wasn't tied into anything. Obviously, the biggest hope on Twitter is that there is some type of Henry Cavill cameo in this movie, right?
Yeah.
So will this movie be a disappointment if it doesn't tie into anything bigger, if it does lead to anything bigger, or is it better for it to serve as a standalone something where it doesn't have super big tie-ins beyond Viola Davis's Amanda Waller into the film?
It needs to tie into Zachary Levi's Shazam.
It only needs to tie into Shazam. That's, in my opinion, that's the only thing it needs to do. Because
he's been
Black
teasing
Adam
that thing for so long.
Shazam's, nemesis. Like, that has to happen. One of my favorite of the animated films that I ever watched was Shazam versus Black Adam. When Black Adam comes back, the same time Billy gets his powers, so he's still learning his powers. Black Adam comes back, and he's beating the pulp out of this little kid using the same powers against him, and Billy still wins. So that's the fight I want to see. Will it happen in this movie? Probably not, but it speaks to the point of the only thing you have to connect it to is Shazam. You don't have to connect it to the rest of the DCU. You don't have to mention Peacemaker. You don't have to mention the little alien moth things from the show Peacemaker. You don't have to mention Batman. You don't have to mention the caped guy from Metropolis. You don't have to do any of that. If you do, cool. But set up that it ties into Shazam first, and then the next one we'll see. Don't you think
it's kind of crazy? And again, it's not our fault. Like, The Rock has been teasing a Superman versus Black Adam show off since the beginning. Don't you think it's kind of crazy that even though Black Adam is Shazam's villain, we've been teasing the Superman versus Black Adam fight more than the Shazam? Isn't that kind of like, it's marketing? That's what The Rock is like.
It's great
from
marketing.
Perspective, he thinks is better, but that's kind of interesting to me. What do you guys think?
I actually kind of get it, because Shazam has such a wildly different tone from the Henry Cavill Superman movies, and it does seem like Black Adam is going more in that direction. And I will say, to the Beard's point, or the Bear's point, whichever one of you I'm talking to, I don't know. I literally wake up every morning and I check, okay, the Bear's that one, the Beard's that one. I mean, look, as another white dude with a beard, like, no shade.
Well, to be fair though, sometimes Bear does grow his beard out, and then you're kind of like, wait, which one's the beard? They both have beards.
But anyway, to your point, I do think that Shazam is a great rival for Black Adam, and more to the point, I think there's a really interesting story to be told there with the idealism of Billy Batson versus the extremism of Teth Adam that I want to see explored. But I think you can also tell similar versions of that rivalry with Superman, and add in the additional factor of, despite the fact that these are just two guys with basically the same power set, Black Adam has an inherent advantage over Superman.
Magic.
And what's one of the things that people always complain about with Superman? They're wrong, but what's one of the things they always complain about?
He's too OP.
He's too powerful. I'm never worried about him, which shut up. But shut up, you're wrong. But if I'm trying to meet you where you're at, Black Adam is a great rivalry for me. And we know from so many of the leaks that have come out of Warner Brothers Discovery that right now Warner Brothers is like, we don't know how to make Superman relatable to the people, which again, if you don't, that's a you problem.
That's the problem since Superman Returns, you know?
Yeah.
It's been a discussion.
But I can see from an executive's mindset and even from a writer's mindset, if I want to make Superman relatable by giving him a believable threat, here's a guy who can make him bleed.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And EJ, what did we say about Superman bleeding?
He will.
There we go. So I do think that the Shazam Black Adam rivalry is coming. I think it's going to be great, but I don't think that the Superman Black Adam rivalry is going to hurt it, or at least I don't think it has to. We'll see.
Do you think it'll actually happen, though? Do you think it'll actually happen?
I don't.
Henry Cavill? No.
If it did happen in this movie, the only way I could see it happening is Superman steps in while Billy is injured and in hiding, and then he gets his butt kicked, and then Billy has to turn back into Shazam and save the day. It would be a finale, kind of cameo kind of thing. But I hope they don't, because this movie's already going to be jam-packed with a bunch of characters that we need to now learn about. We need to learn their backstories, and they all have to fit in somewhere.
And specifically, we have great characters who audiences don't know and who deserve respect. And
one side note,
to be shared with people.
Yeah, one side note, Billy Batson will not appear in this movie. They've already made that very clear. There will be no Shazam, no Billy Batson. So that's not even going to be a thing. Which
I've made my peace with.
Yeah. Black Adam. mean, The Rock really wanted to make sure that they had two separate movies. That was his big thing. He pushed for it.
Yeah.
Part of the reason it took so long. Plus, Warner Brothers not getting their stuff together. But he's just not going to be there.
Yeah. I want to go back to what I said before, and we all seem to kind of be in agreement. It's not that I need to see Zachary Levi on the screen, right? And the Beard even said this earlier, that the cameos don't make the movie, right? We've been spoiled with certain cameos, and I can, admit that. But I think the truth is that we want to see it tied in somehow. We don't need to see Zachary Levi. We don't need to see Shazam on the screen. We don't need to see them fight in this movie. But we need to know that you're doing something. We need to know that this isn't just a one-off, that you're trying to do your own thing. Stop trying to copy Marvel. Stop trying to, catch up. You got a long way to go. Just try and build something with some cohesiveness to it. And then the rest will come.
Even if it's just a one-liner from the wizard Shazam, where he says there's another that will defeat you. Because this could take place, before Billy gets his powers. It could take place after. It doesn't matter. Even if there's just that one line that I've already given my power to another, or I plan to give my power to another, that will eventually defeat you. That one line connects the universe, and I'm good. I'm good.
I will say this. This is the biggest hope we can have for this movie, because there is a lot riding on it, right? Warner Bros. Has been taken over by Discovery. So this is the first film that's going to come out under the Discovery label for the DC universe, right? They're still trying to struggle and find their Kevin Feige. Some haven't done that yet because they don't know if they really want to do that. I mean, Walter Hamada heads it now, but the thing is, he was kind of peeved because David Zaslav cut Batgirl without even telling Walter Hamada. And exactly. So basically that caused a lot of...
I still have a conspiracy theory about that. So
Is it that Feige paid David Zaslav to make all these terrible decisions?
No, it's that it got cut to make demand for the movie online, like the Snyder cut, and that they're eventually going to release it anyway on HBO Max without having to spend money to send it to theaters.
But isn't it a thing that they can't do that now?
With the tax write-off situation.
Tax write-off, they literally cannot release it because otherwise it's fraud.
Well, right now,
along those lines, I don't know. Not a legal expert.
Yeah, so right now, because it's not tax time right now, they can't do it as a tax write-off until technically April or whatever that time comes around for taxes. But if that happens, they won't be able to use any part of it. And there's been a lot of cuts going on, a lot of refocusing of what the DCEU is supposed to be. What this movie needs to do beyond anything else is build an audience, because the DCEU does not have an audience. Now, again, we've talked about it before. It's a smaller audience. There is a Snyderverse audience, but it's a smaller audience, right? It's not necessarily the whole columnation of what an audience can be. And even if you look at the marketing now, and me and Josh talked about this briefly, dude. I don't know if you heard about this, but basically, they released a trailer for Black Adam, and they're really trying to at least have call-outs to other DC movies. So they had a scene with Superman, they had a scene with Batman, Ben Affleck's Batman, and they had a scene from 2017's Justice League or whatever. And the fans from DC and Snyder fans got so upset by just seeing a clip of that The Rock went back, had his marketing team take down the trailer with the Justice League footage with it, and put it back up, said, I corrected it for you guys, don't worry about it. And literally tweeted that out and removed that footage, because that's how embarrassing that film is to the studio. That tells me that studio does not have an audience. That's what you're telling me, because when you're saying, go ahead.
So they were trying to pull a Batman v Superman where they introduce all the characters in little video bits. Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that didn't work then either.
Yeah. So that's the problem. Like, and obviously you're saying, okay, so whatever happened with Zack Snyder's Justice League, that's like a separate universe or whatever. Okay, fine, whatever. But every time you want to have hype for your movie, you try to hype something up. Like, you'll say, oh yeah, guys, we're kind of canceling Batgirl, but don't worry, guys, Ben Affleck's going to be an Aquaman. You're appealing to few people who like Snyder movies then, when you're doing
right.
So you don't know who you're actually appealing to when you're putting these things out. So what this movie needs to do more than anything is build an audience and have a direct relationship with the audience. I think that's the best thing The Rock can do in this situation, to kind of actually build and cultivate some type of audience. Because right now, because of everything that's happened from this drama with the Snyder Cut and the Justice League, from Batgirl, from Ray Fisher, from Amber Heard, from Ezra Miller, to all those things, it's just been all negative. They have to do something. Yeah, exactly. Like, you need something to shine a light here.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And we have to talk. I agree with the Bear and the Beard here in their comment. I think that's really what I was getting at earlier. There are a lot of people that are really big fans of DC Comics, DC comic characters, and everything that entails. So I think we're not, as fans, we're not looking for you to, create the next Dark Knight, right? We're not looking for the next cinematic masterpiece. We're just looking for something that we could say, okay, you know what? That was a solid movie. Let's build on it. Let's start building out our universe, because we've had a few of those. We've had solid movies, but they just haven't been able to string any together, where Marvel's done the opposite, where they've had solid movies, and then they've had really good movies, and they've had some stinkers. But the stinkers are few and far between. Let's go ask EJ, but he doesn't know what he's talking about, so don't ask him.
Sure. I will die on the hill that Marvel.
There's not a lot of bad Marvel movies, though.
Marvel has never had a bad movie. Hang on. Marvel Studios has never had a bad movie or television series since 2008. Marvel Studios. Very important.
Very, very important distinction.
Because Inhumans happened whether we like it or not.
The funniest thing I see when I come across DC, I mean, I'm a Marvel fan overall, but I like DC. I've watched all the animated films, and the fact that those films are very well written, very well done, with the exception of the Judas Contract, I think that was the only one I didn't enjoy too much.
Yeah.
And only a few of them connect. Some of them connect to others. Others connect to others. Like, it's not one big animated cinematic universe. There's like 3 or 4 that happen in one timeline. There's like 3 that happen in another. And there's all these, and some of them connect, some of them don't. But it all tells a story. And I was mostly watching it for Batman stuff, because I wanted to watch Batman related things. One of the best movies I ever came across was Gotham by Gaslight. If they ever turn that into a live action,
it's so funny
film,
that you just brought that up, because as soon as you started talking about the animated movies and whatnot, that movie popped into my head. And while you were talking, I was listening, I promise. But while you were talking, I was immediately in my head being like, we need to make a video about Batman.
Yeah.
And we need to make that video, because that is, go ahead and go off. But that is, I loved that. EJ, did you and I watch that together?
I haven't seen it yet.
What's up?
You and I watched that together, I think.
I believe we
Sam's
did, actually.
in Maine.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was because I was like, oh, what's this? Let's throw it on. And it was so good. It was like,
it was the one that was like
so
medieval,
cool.
like it was back in like olden times. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
not
was
medieval. It was
essentially
Victorian.
Not
It was
medieval.
Victorian.
Not medieval. Victorian. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Victorian.
Yeah.
This is medieval now.
I used the wrong word, Dieter. Relax. Calm
Yeah.
I think
both
what you
from
were
your
looking for was
nipples.
Victorian.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Calm
But
both
yeah,
your
no.
nipples. You're fine.
What's the name?
You know-
What's the name of the guy who directed Thor: Love and Thunder?
A director that made a terrible.
Taika
a
Waititi.
director that made it a terrible movie. So there's that.
Hey, can you blur my screen real quick, Josh? I got some sign language I want to send you to.
I can't blur, but I can remove you.
Good.
I think all of us didn't really care for Love and Thunder. So Love
You
and
can see him in the
Blunder.
bottom.
I did.
They can't see it on
I
the
did.
stream, but
Yeah.
you can see him at the bottom.
I
Yeah.
love
and Blunder. Is that what it is?
I loved Thor: Love and Thunder, but that's only because I
Okay,
went
he's got to
into it.
stop flipping you off so I can put it back on. Okay, he's good now.
He's got it out of his system.
out of the four of us here, I loved Thor: Love and Thunder, but that's because I went into it knowing what it was. It was a Taika Waititi project, and I like Taika Waititi, so it was right up my alley. I can see, like, even watching it, I was like, yeah, I can see where some fans are upset about this, about certain things, but
EJ out here starting fights.
that's the whole thing when it comes to
Well, is that the beard? Is that what it is? That's the beard.
yeah,
Right?
the
Beard. Come
yeah.
on. Choose a
You
prettier
love Love and
girl.
Thunder, too.
Yo, choose
Yeah,
a prettier
we did a
girl.
whole episode about
Don't choose that girl to fight. Choose a prettier girl to fight.
But
Seriously.
there were the way I look at Love and Thunder was there were so many things they could have done to make it worse.
Don't take that girl to the prom.
But it was okay.
EJ, how many? And I know that came out of this Oktoberfest because that's the only thing you drink after Oktoberfest. How many of those have you had?
I've had a few.
So I do want to
We gotta
say
stop this podcast before you get something that ends this podcast.
I do want to say this because this fits well with Black Adam. It fits well with all the projects that we've talked about, and especially with Thor: Love and Thunder. The whole thing comes down to there's no such thing as universal hatred. And
That's
to
true.
Josh's point earlier, we normally talk about this in a panel when we go to conventions. We talk about no toxicity in my fandom, and that fans have all the power, but that they need to understand there's no such thing as universal hatred. And I said this at one point during a panel, and I said, I was just asking the audience, I was like, name one thing that you think, person, place, thing, whatever, that you think is universally hated, that everyone hates him or her or it or whatever. And dude held up his hand. I said, yeah, what do you got? He's like, Adolf Hitler. I was like, so there's not, a huge mass of people living in America
This is Godwin's law.
think
If
he was
anyone's
right. That thinks he was right. So
There you go. I told you. I told you it would happen.
Josh, you're right.
there's no
Thank
such
you.
thing as universal hatred.
Also, I'm going to take that clip of you saying Josh, you're right, and I am going to use that against you. So I'm going to beat that dead horse over and over again.
But at the
I
same
have it
time, there's
on,
no
it's,
such thing
it's recorded.
as
I
universal
have a
love.
recording.
Yeah. But there's also no such thing as universal love. Not everyone's going to love
also
everything that you do. There are
True.
going to be fans of Hugh Jackman that don't think he should come back into this role, and they are probably going to dislike the movie for the same points that we
Yeah.
were discussing here today. Is it going to cheapen Logan? There's going to be people that believe it does. whether it does or not, they're just going to automatically see it that way. There's people that are going to look at Last of Us and go, this is nothing like the video game. Pedro Pascal is not Southern, you know.
I want better for you, Beard.
You know.
I want better for you.
All the photos.
No, I really like the points you made there, Bear. Those are some good points, and we've talked about it before on your show, on our show. Yeah. You're never going to make everybody happy. I mean, we all know this. There's going to be people that are going to complain no matter what you do. You can make the greatest movie of all time. There's going to be people out there that don't like it.
And
you can make the worst movie of all time.
Wow.
It's called The Fantastic Four, and there's going to be people that actually like it. Not many. I think it's 3 in the world. If you
actually have one
movie.
Are we talking about a movie that already got made, or
which one?
This can't be a question. It's the only one.
Oh, you talking about
Josh Trank one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see it.
Yes.
I haven't seen it. That's how much I didn't care.
See, I like Michael B. Jordan as an actor. I would like to continue liking him, so I didn't watch that film. You know, so.
Yeah.
What was that Tom Clancy movie he did? Does anyone remember the name?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
What?
It's on
Amazon,
isn't it?
don't remember what it's called, but I did see that. It was entertaining.
Yeah,
it was good.
I need to watch that. I love him.
I even have a friend. I have a friend who claims that Batman and Robin is the best Batman movie of all time, and he says that unironically.
Nipples and all.
Weirdly enough, Batman and Robin and Batman Forever have been going through kind of a cultural renaissance.
Yeah. I think Batman
where
Forever is a
people
good
are
film.
like, actually, no, Joel Schumacher wasn't 100%, but the fact that he was willing to have so much fun with what he was doing deserves to be commended. And I can kind of understand why it's a backlash to.
If you wanted a corny comic book movie, those were perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's
true.
If you wanted a serious story, they didn't work. That's just how it goes. What story were they telling?
Yeah.
I mean, here's the deal. Here's my fighting words on Batman. I think Batman Forever and Val Kilmer is a better Batman than any of the Keaton stuff. I know that's a real hot take. I think Val Kilmer was the best of that era. Honestly, unironically, I watched it recently. I thought he was excellent. I think Batman Forever is better than Batman Returns and Batman '89. Unironically, and I'm just die on that
This
hill.
is weird. This is an interesting enough opinion that I want to know more from you, which never happens.
I have to agree though a little bit that Keaton, though he did a good job, the main reason that we still know those movies is not because of Keaton, it's because of
Jack Nicholson
Nicholson and DeVito
and Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer. But the fact that those movies got made is what led to all of the other ones, because they had to take a chance and make a dark, gritty Tim Burton movie that starred Batman. Because it's not a Batman movie. It's a Tim Burton movie that stars Batman. That's the difference.
Yeah, no, I think it's better. Val Kilmer had the voice for it down. He had the feel for Bruce Wayne that I didn't think Keaton ever landed. I never bought Keaton as Bruce Wayne or I bought him more as Batman, but I was like, no, this dude doesn't go out with supermodels. He stays in his cave and reads Harry Potter books. Like, this dude doesn't go. He doesn't go out.
Clooney.
Yeah.
Clooney just played Clooney. He didn't play Bruce Wayne or Batman.
Yeah.
He just played Clooney.
Nah, Clooney was doing
Batman.
What if George Clooney was Adam West?
Yeah.
Which I
was
didn't.
collecting a paycheck.
In retrospective, I don't hate as much as I should.
I haven't seen those movies in forever. EJ and I have had the conversation, and I remember I saw them as like a young kid, like on a VHS. I was like, "These are incredible!" And then looking back on, it, I'm like, "Well,
I remember renting them all the time as a kid." Yeah.
Maybe I was just a kid, and I thought they were great, but they're not quite the same on a rewatch." But
and Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones, even though apparently they didn't like each other on set, they seemed like they were having a good time, man. Like. It was unhinged. It was kind of fun. No, I think Batman Forever is a classic. It's a masterpiece, actually.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to go ahead and say it's a masterpiece. I have no problem saying this and sticking up for Joel Schumacher.
It is. I do find, even when I disagree with you, I do find your opinions more palatable when you're talking about liking something than when you're talking about hating something.
It's so true. It's so true because whenever he likes something that maybe isn't generally liked, he has like reasons for it. But when he doesn't like something, he's just like, it's terrible. It sucks. It's mid. It's terrible. I don't know why we're doing that voice. He doesn't sound anything like that. We both immediately went into the same kind of voice. That it sounds
the same like gravelly alcoholic voice.
You made me sound like a 50-year-old like smoker.
And EJ has a very lovely tenor, much like Hugh Jackman. I brought it full circle.
Boom.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
I have one question, just because we do stuff like this on our show all the time, and we could go out on this if y'all want. I don't care. But I want to ask y'all to bring that point back home. What is y'all's favorite Hugh Jackman project that's not superhero related?
Ooh, this is easy for me. This is The Prestige.
Okay.
I hated The Prestige.
I haven't seen it.
I loved it.
I've been told I need to watch it.
It's beautiful.
And Josh, you said Les Mis?
I was kidding. I didn't watch it.
Real talk, the only other Hugh Jackman movie I've seen is Les Mis.
Yeah, I don't know of another Hugh Jackman movie off the top of my head that's not.
There was one my mom always used to watch. It was an old school like period drama where like he was like an aristocrat and then got brought forward in time, maybe, and it was a romantic comedy. Is anyone? I'm. Hang on, I gotta go into the archives and figure out what the hell I'm talking about.
Well, what about you? Because I got to look it up now too and see if there's actually anything he's in.
Mine's The Greatest Showman, where he played P.T. Barnum.
So I heard, is that a good movie? I've heard really good things about it, but I have not seen it.
So, a YouTuber who is far more successful than we will be, and a YouTuber and video essayist Patrick Willems, excuse me, referred to The Greatest Showman as one of the worst movies that he's ever loved. And he said that a lot of his love of it relied on the setting that he was in. If you're watching Greatest Showman by yourself, it is a very kind of dull and confusing affair, and you're constantly asking yourself questions about the plot and why it's this way. But if you're with a bunch of your friends, especially if those friends are musical theater people, and especially if there is certain imbibements involved, you're gonna have an absolute blast.
Mr. Sam Adams.
I'm deeply oversimplifying what he talked about in his video essay. I highly recommend you watch it because I don't want to misrepresent him. But that's the general consensus.
You have to go into Greatest Showman thinking three things. One, this is a musical that was written to be a Broadway play that was made into a movie first. Because they have Broadway writers writing the musical numbers. Like, it was
Basic and Paul. Yep.
To be a Broadway play, but they turned it into a film first before they turned it into a Broadway play. The second thing you need to know is that it does not stick true to P.T. Barnum's assholery.
No.
Nearly like it should. And that's the only adjective I could really say. Because if you know the real story of P.T. Barnum, they play him off like a very good guy that makes one bad mistake in this movie. That's not P.T. Barnum. Now, granted, was he the full demon that everyone thinks he is now? No. If you look into P.T. Barnum, it's more of perception over time.
He was a complicated guy.
Yeah, he was a very complicated guy. The third thing you need to know is that the talent is amazing for the singing, but the acting was a little
slaps.
Yeah, the soundtrack slaps. The acting falls short, but the music is amazing. So if you can balance those three things into your brain, then watch it, you'll probably enjoy it.
So real quick, the movie that I was thinking about that my mom always used to watch when I was a kid, is Kate and Leopold. And I'm just going to read you this quick blurb here. Kate and Leopold is a 2001 American romantic comedy fantasy film that tells the story of a physicist by the name of Stuart, played by Liev Schreiber, who accidentally pulls his great-great-grandfather, Leopold, played by Hugh Jackman, through a time portal from 19th century New York to the present, where Leopold falls in love with Stuart's ex-girlfriend, Kate, played by Meg Ryan.
Oh, boy.
Oh man!
What Mad Libs late
awesome.
90s 2000s rom-com is that?
I kind of want to watch it now.
I kind of want to watch it too.
Yeah, I just combed through his IMDb and I wasn't really seeing anything that popped. There was like some voice acting things that I'm like, oh, I've seen that or I've seen that.
No, man, the
classic Rise of the Guardians.
Oh yeah, he was the Easter Bunny.
That movie was amazing.
I
One of
didn't
the
watch
most
that.
beautiful animation I've ever seen. Great story.
Alec Baldwin doing his fake Russian accent to be Santa Claus.
That's right. I forgot that was Alec Baldwin.
I didn't see that. I do.
But
I know
should.
what you're talking about though, because I remember seeing the trailer for it when I
You
was in the
should.
movie
You look
theaters
like
or
Jack
something.
Frost right now. You should watch it. Like...
Peter's gonna fall. He's gonna fall. You gonna be all right? You gonna make it through?
No.
That's Josh's next cosplay. Everybody, we need to put a poll up somewhere that Josh needs to do Jack from Rise of the Guardians for sure.
It's honestly, it's not a hard cosplay to do. You just need like a blue hoodie.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'll send you a picture, Josh.
Follow it out with some snowflakes. Just like spray some snowflakes on it.
Perfect. Well, I really appreciate you guys getting together with me, my fellow knights, and of course our guest,
Yes.
the Bear, over at the Bear and the Beard
Anytime.
podcast. Definitely go check them out, guys. Thank you to all of you who tuned in and watched. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. Check out our other content. We're putting a lot of stuff out. We're trying to do a weekly video as much as we can. And we're excited to move into the rest of this year and really push for 1,000 subs and then go into the following year and just keep getting better and better, more videos, better videos, all that fun stuff. Let us know what you guys think about these topics. How do you guys feel about Hugh Jackman coming back? How do you feel about The Last of Us? Have you played the game? Are you familiar with it? Are you excited for the content that's coming out? And let us know about Black Adam, how you feel about that. Can The Rock do it? Can he bring us back from the dead?
Yes.
I'm very excited to see
you
it.
on this rock foundation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Will he be the rock or will he be the pebble? Who knows?
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining me, guys. Do you have anything else you want to add before we sign off?
No, thank you for being here.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you guys.
All
Look
right.
forward to
Thanks,
Black
guys.
Adam and Taiki Waititi still stucks.
See you guys later.